Okay, everyone, I'm going to introduce our next speaker. This will be well, we're just going to have one speaker up right now. It's Christy Louth from the Clinton Giustra Initiative, and she's going to speak to us about networking.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. I want to just tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'll probably tell you a little bit about the charity, and then I want to talk a little bit about networking, because I think it's streamlined through everyone's conversations here today about engagement, community, and organic. So I think all this kind of stems through networking and networking effectively. So a bit about me. My background's in the private sector. I used to be the vice president of a corporate finance department in a merchant bank here in Vancouver. Did that for about 7 years. And then my current boss, Frank Giustra, started a charity in 2008, and I jumped and grew my wings on the way down and landed in the public sector. Didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I definitely do now. Very different type of working environment than the private sector. So a little bit about the organization, and I brought up this whiteboard because I wanted to explain a little bit what we do, because I think our strategy is so unique it's worth sharing, and then writing it out is something a little bit better to see visually, because when I talk about value chain optimization, people are like, what's that? I don't understand. So we operate in Latin America. We just kind of, we're mostly in Peru, Colombia, Haiti, Mexico, and we're just more recently doing a pilot in India. So we're a handful of charities that really focus on value chain optimization, and what that means is we really strengthen value chains in different industries that are growing in the developing countries. So we'll go into, say, like a Peru or Colombia, and we've found two common industries in both. Agro and tourism are two industries that are currently growing. So great. Those are the ones, because our throughput is a job or increased income for our beneficiaries. So we'll go to the market and we'll figure out what the demand is. And so let's use coffee, for example. We'll go to Whole Foods, we'll go to Starbucks, and we'll say, let's secure a buying agreement. And we'll secure the buying agreement, and then we'll go back into the country and we'll reverse engineer, and we'll work with the private sector to strengthen that whole value chain. We either expand their current reach, or we create a new value chain with them. So this is where we come in. We come in both on a philanthropic side, and we come in on a kind of impact investing side. So majority private sector doesn't want to deal with all of these fragmented farmers. These are all the coffee farmers. They could care less. They care less about them. They care about them. They just don't want to have that part of the value chain. So what we do is we organize the small producers and we get them into co-ops. But getting them into the co-ops requires demand-driven skill training, because why? They have to hit the quality and quantity standards of Starbucks. So Starbucks lays that out for us, and then we reverse back and go, okay, what's the quality and quantity standards? We educate them and we get them up to the level to meet those quality standards. And then we come in with Starbucks. This is our philanthropic side, and then we come in with Starbucks with the capital. And we come in and go, all right, to strengthen this value chain, usually the bottlenecks are logistics in the developing countries. So is it transportation? Is it a packaging facility? Is it a roasting facility to get it out to the market? So we'll come in and we're mitigating their risk, because we're coming in as a philanthropic capital investment, and they're coming in as a 50-50 investor as well. So we're mitigating the risk because we're strengthening all the gaps in the value chain, and we're also educating all of the small producers on the philanthropic side. So private sector loves us. So this is what we do. This is value chain optimization. So just to give you guys a little bit of what I do. So I also do a lot of fundraising. So talking about venture capital, I think Amy was talking a lot about that. My background's in venture capital and doing a lot of fundraising. Very different in the not-for-profit world, because you're looking for different types of relationships and different types of synergies within those relationships. So it's a quite unique approach to fundraising. So hold on, this is my crutch, you guys. I'm sorry, I've got to look at this. Oh, there we go. Okay. I was out late last night, and I'm like writing down my notes. So this is my crutch here. Hang on. So strengths of relationships, and I think there was a couple speakers here today talking about the strengths of relationships and trusts, and the amount of trust that people have to invest capital in you. So I'd like to pose a question to the audience. If you were looking for a job, what type of tie would you reach out to? Would you reach out to a strong tie or a weak tie? Hands up for a strong tie. All right, and hands up for a weak tie. All right. Well, according to a study at Stanford, the people that reached out to a weak tie got better jobs and higher paying jobs. So why is that? Well, I'll tell you why. Vancouver and most people don't really know how to network and use networks to leverage them personally and professionally. Our networks, and I'll draw again, look like this. They're very closed off. This is you. They're very tight. They're kind of what we call cliquey, right? That's what our networks normally look like. So what does that mean when you're going for a job? Well, you are all sharing the same information. It's redundant. There's all this overlap. And that's how people network. And that's how we date here in Vancouver. That's why everyone's like, dating sucks here in Vancouver. That's the same reason, because you're going to your same networks, your same circle. So what we really want to do is we want to form strong bonds with weak links. That is the key. And I'll tell you why that's key. I raise more money creating strong bonds or strong bridges with weak links than I do with strong ones. And when I say that, I mean your strong links, these are the people you're seeing on a regular basis. You're going to have a lot of FaceTime too with the people that I have weak links with, but you create this instant trust. You get trust, you get support. Okay, now that's where I'm going. Hold on a second. My cue cards. Right. Okay. So I create more money and I get more relationships doing this than I do with the strong ones. And again, going back to the Stanford study, same thing with a job. So if you're looking for a job, you need to use LinkedIn and get out there on your weak links and create those strong bonds, and FaceTime. So when I came from the corporate finance side and I went into not-for-profit, raising funds was totally different. So I was like, well, what can I do differently? So I identified 4 things to do differently. 1, changing the mindset. Changing the mindset, because networking's got this terrible, cheesy, predatory type of behavior, right? You guys need to forget that and just embrace it. Embrace it as you're going out to meet people as friends, and be very genuine about it, very genuine and authentic about it. And another thing too is networks are earned, they're not built. And earning is, again, the genuine, the authenticity. And networking has to be a way of life. We've been talking about eating healthy here and organic. It's a way of life. You got to do it every day. You got to do it and be cognizant of it, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to effectively network. And quit handing your cards out randomly. And I'll get into where I go on the second tool. I created a tool, and that's why you see this I.A.M, a networker, under my name. I created this tool because I was like, how can I make this systematic so I follow it when I'm going to events? Because when I'm doing these events, I ask for, the attendee list, the speaker list, and then I'm very calculated when I'm going to the World Economic Forum, or I'm blessed enough to go to the Clinton Global Initiative. I'm going all right, I want to see that CEO of Whole Foods, I got to see this person, I got to see that person. I usually have a top 10 hit list. And that's strategic. Why? Because I'm usually asking for money to get donors, and I'm trying to get corporate financing or corporate partnerships, so they're going to be a buyer on the end of our value chain. Or I'm trying to get a top billionaire to fund this because it makes sense for them in Latin America. So this acronym is I.A.M, I-A-A-M. It's identify, approach, anchor, move on, and maintain. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a live example, because I was like, the best way to do it is to do a live example. So, so identifying somebody. Again, I've got my hit list. I've got 10. I go on the internet. I'm figuring out who I want to meet with. So today, went on the internet. I picked out a person here. Her name's Deborah Houst. Deborah Houst is entrepreneur, CEO, and founder of C Market. I see from her Twitter feed and her LinkedIn, she's a forward thinker. Her organization is like a think tank around high quality food products that are sustainable and organic. Why did I identify her? Well, I see some synergies here. We work with small producers. We're trying to get small producers to market. So I see some knowledge sharing here. If she operated in Latin America, because all of my stuff is geographically focused, it would be definitely even a more plus. So it's probably knowledge sharing for now, but if she was working in Latin America, well, she probably could be a partner down there. We could probably use her as a consultant. She could be on the ground. And again, too, I usually have 10 of these, right? You can manage about 10 when you're going to about a day event. And I have 10, and I usually have a cheat sheet on these and notes, and I know a lot about this person, because my next step is anchor. An anchor is, I've identified something very unique about that person to engage with them. Because again, it's personal contact, and you're trying to create some genuine relationship. You're not just there to ask open-ended questions. Once you tell someone that you've followed them on Twitter, you've read something interesting they've done, you're really going to start that engagement. That just takes it to another level, and they're quite impressed. And when you're going to do the move on piece and the maintenance, they're actually going to take the time to have spend more time with you and feel that obligation. And I'll talk a little bit about what obligation is. So you have the anchoring. You have a conversation for about 5-10 minutes, and then 15 max. Get the hell out of there, because we've all been in those talks where you're trying to escape them because somebody's wasting your time, and you're like, oh God, like 15 minutes is you got to respect your time, and you have to respect their time as well, because you know what? You got to get out there and start networking as well. So move on, hand them their card, ask to reach out to them on LinkedIn or get a business card. And then, like dating, the last step is maintaining. And that's where everybody seems to screw up. Maintaining is time and energy, but if you've done it strategically, it's definitely worth it. And the maintenance part is most face-to-face meetings. Or you've got now technologies like Skype, Twitter, email. We have the opportunity to have much more broader networks than we did years ago because of technology. Rockefeller used to carry around a big black book with 50,000 people in it, and that was his database, and he would read through it and find people when he would go into Toronto or Chicago, and that was it. So he spent the time and energy. We have internet now, so I think we can manage doing the maintenance side. Another really interesting thing that I've noticed traveling, because 60% of my time is traveling, is the way that these obligations are formed in, say, Western Canada, Eastern Canada, to Latin America, to some parts of Europe is very different. For instance, in Latin America, and I go to Colombia, Peru, Mexico, in those countries down there, is obligation is formed by a friendship. They don't care about your title. They don't care about your wealth. It's all about friendship. That's it. So when I'm dealing with a lot of my donors or corporate partners in Colombia and Peru, they'll sit there and I'm always shocked. Every time I'm always shocked. They're like, how's your Christmas with your dad? You went skiing, you did this. And I'm like, damn, how do you remember all that? Like they really want that engagement, that 10-minute conversation of, hi, how are you? How's family? How's life? And then 15 minutes, and then we'll just naturally get into business. Whereas, in North America, we're like, hi, how are you? Good. Yeah, it's raining here too. I called you, bang. And you're just like, bam, you dive right into it, right? Like, it's like, that's not, in Latin America, they're like, they take offense to that, right? So it's like, you really have to treat cultures and be cognizant of that as well. And in some parts of Europe too, the obligation is done by a formal tie, right? So your superior, somebody with a somebody with a hierarchy than you. In Canada and in the US, what shocks me is because we do it so bad here I think from the West Coast, and I know there's a lot of people that go to the East Coast, it's very welcomed in the East Coast. Networking isn't as welcomed on the West Coast. And the difference is, too, is we have such a broader market for creating those obligations. We do it through friendships. We do it through formal ties. It's accepted with people with influence as well. So we have a broader opportunity to make more networks in North America than you do in Latin America, and in Europe. So in closing, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a quote that was passed on to me when I started networking and raising money, and one person passed on to me, and I think it's a great reflection of how to network. He said, Christy, you're only a temporary custodian of the possessions you own. Life is about quality relationships. And I'm happy to take some questions too. Yeah. You guys have some questions. Does anybody have questions?
Oh, come on, really?
Nothing? All right. Oh, go ahead.
We've been talking a lot about the difference between how women are treated in the workplace. What about when you're networking with men? Do you notice that other people who are raising funds that might be men interact and network in a different way that is more effective for them, or can they follow that kind of same formula that you said?
You know what? They can totally follow that, but what I find with men, they're much more aggressive. because they don't give a shit. They're just like, bang, you know, whereas women, we're definitely like, yeah, you know, and I think that has to do with the workplace too, is right? Women seem to hold themselves back thinking, I need a little bit more experience, I need a little bit, you know, and then I'll venture out. No, men are just like, they fake it till they make it. Like, they're the ones that really walk the walk, right? So I think they can definitely do that. I think the difference otherwise too, that I think Sandra hits on her book, Lean In, from the CEO, is like, there's some sensitivities too, like and I think she says that when she was starting to go out with senior individuals, she would make it just lunch meetings, not dinner, not after work drinks, but yet women, she would do that. So I think there's lines you've got to watch on that too, because there's still those stereotypes there for sure.
What about how a more aggressive man is treated, and if that's seen in a more favorable light than if a woman was as aggressive as?
No, when I say aggressive, I just mean like, yeah, they're just more forward, not as aggressive, meaning like raw, like right in your face, right? Because that's annoying to anybody. Again, every network that I'm creating is friendship, right? Because like it's a proven model. The amount of money someone's going to give you, the amount of trust, the amount of support, it's all based on face-to-face meetings and the quality too, right? So that strong bridge. Not like I'm going to meet with them all the time. I may see them maybe every 6 months. But it's that strong bridge. So it's just being authentic in anything what you're doing and in creating that network. Yeah. Yep.
Do you find when you were talking about you go to something like this with a list of 10 people that you want to talk to, which I totally get and do as well sometimes, but if you're like, you do your research and you go somewhere, are you like, I'm always nervous that I'm going to sound really creepy when I'm like,
no, people love it. No, that's just, I think that's you're probably just worried about that as a perception. No, people love that. They're like, really, you read it? Did you like it? Great, okay. Like, no, they actually really like that you did your homework on them, because you're actually building something of quality right off the bat. You're not just giving those open-ended questions. So what are you doing? Yeah, all right, what are you doing here? What's your name? Oh, what are you? Oh, you're the CEO of Walmart. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know. So, but it's true, right? You do your homework and they love it. Yeah, and then that's the anchor too, right? That they're like, that person spent the time, because you know how many people come up to those people? And you know what I do too? I shouldn't even be telling you guys this. It's terrible. They're taping it. On these conferences, I'll have 2 pockets of business cards. One with my personal email address, meaning like my work, and the other for the info account. Like, so they don't have direct access to me. So, you know, because I got to be picky and choosy. And these people do the same thing.
So do you, like, and then just further to that, when you're talking to them, like, you have a goal in mind, I guess.
I have a goal in mind, yeah.
And do you meet with that, or is that something that comes later?
No, and that's a good point. You know, and I call it courting. It's a courting relationship. Once you connect with somebody and you get that network and you're raising funds, whether it be a corporate partnership or fundraising, you have a courting period. And that courting period can go from a month to a year, 2 years. You know, it took me 2 years to close like $1.5 million. Like, and that was just courting one man. But you know what I mean, like not in a sexual courting. But, yeah. Pardon me? Oh yeah, he's like the best guy. He's like on the top billion list in the world. And every time I meet with him, it's unique, it's fun. It's, you know, I'm flying around in a jet with him he's like, put those overalls on. We're flying a World War II fighter jet today. That's what we're doing on our meeting. I'm like, all right. Yeah, no, he's worth it for sure. I'm very blessed, very blessed. Yep.
When you are going through this courting period, how do you know when to stop and say maybe that you're getting your face a little bit too much? Is that something that you're just shadowing their behavior back, or do you have a different technique?
Yeah, no, good point. Shadowing behavior is good. I say that too on email. You know, if someone's always calling me Dear Christy, it's Dear back, you know, or kind, you know, I guess shadow that as well. No, I think you can, you know, and I think when you're networking and, you know, there's all these successful women here, and women have the ability that men don't, sorry for the guys in the room, but we have that emotional intelligence. We feel that intuitively, so that's something like in our back pocket. So, you know, sometimes you're right, you can get them on an off day, or you can get them at a time when, because these people are like, very busy people. And you can get them on those times. And you just have to appreciate that and back away and give some space. And guess what? Normally either they reach out or you just pop them an email about either info, an event, something fun, and then re-engage again. Yeah. All right, I think we're at time. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.